What is going on? It is Nate the Game Guy coming back with another video at hand, and today I want to talk to you guys about some of my biggest hot takes when it comes to video games. Now, over the years, I've played many different video games, right? I've played pretty much, I feel like, something from every main series out there. And I have to say, there are a lot of games and that I really like and don't like that the majority of the gaming community either doesn't like or really does like. So basically, I plan to share some of my biggest hot takes when it comes to video games. Now keep in mind, this is my own personal opinion. You are 100% okay to disagree or agree with me in any way, shape, or form. I just want to share my own thoughts and opinions, and this video is not meant to attack anybody in any way, shape, or form. If you like a game that I dislike or whatever, good for you. Just like if you hate a game that I love, also good for you, right? So without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Take a look at some of my biggest hot takes when it comes to video games right after the intro. So starting off strong with the list with some of my biggest hot takes when it comes to video games is I think Sonic R is a pretty fun game. Now, I can't see why people do dislike Sonic R, and me personally, when I did play the game itself, I found some enjoyment out of it. I did find the levels to be kind of creative, pretty interesting. I do think that the soundtrack is a bit out of place, even though I personally enjoy the music as just its own separate thing. I don't really think it fits well into a Sonic game, but that doesn't really matter, is because I do find the game to be overall pretty enjoyable. I do feel that the game is short, which it is a flaw, but overall, I don't think Sonic R is a bad game. From time to time, I don't mind picking up and playing it, and I have to say, I personally think it's a relatively enjoyable game for me personally. Now, another really strong hot take of mine that I want to share is that I think Borderlands is just not a fun game at all. I've tried Borderlands multiple times, the original, I didn't even bother playing 3 or any of the other Borderlands games. I just don't enjoy Borderlands at all. I find the game to be very mediocre, it gets very redundant, very boring fast, and it just feels more like a chore than doing something actually fun, of constantly looking through which weapons are going to work out for you, going through A to B. All the environments essentially look the same. Now, I do realize that some of my complaints could be applied to many other different games, but I don't know. There's just something about Borderlands that just isn't fun about it at all. And sure, I can truthfully say that I would enjoy Borderlands more than Superman 64, but I don't really think that's really saying much. Really, the only thing that I do enjoy about Borderlands is the character Claptrap. I think he's very fun, humorous, and he's just a very cool character that I like, and unfortunately that's really the only thing I can truthfully say that I do enjoy about Borderlands. I've tried it multiple times. I can see why some people like it, but just me personally, I don't find it to be a fun or good game with my personal taste at all. Moving down the hot takes, I think Hyperdimension Neptunia, the original on the PlayStation 3, was a good game. I think it is extremely overhated, and I can see why some people did not like the original Hyperdimension Neptunia, but me personally, I enjoyed the game. When I first played the original Hyperdimension Neptunia on PlayStation 3, I thought it was just a really bad game, and it just wasn't really fun at all. Sure, I enjoyed the concept of game industry and the four gods, but it wasn't until I played 2 hours into the game that was when I really began to enjoy the game. Yes, it is more obscure and different than compared to other JRPGs, and for those that have ever played Trinity Universe on the PlayStation 3, it has the exact same gameplay formula as Trinity Universe. And Hyperdimension Neptunia, the original, did get better reviews over in Japan than it did in the West, and I think that the game is pretty enjoyable. I did find myself having a lot of fun playing the original Neptunia. I think it's just one of those games where you gotta be more open-minded, and I can see why a lot of Neptunia fans do enjoy Rebirth 1 over the original Neptunia, but me personally, I do not enjoy Rebirth 1 simply because of the changes in the story than compared to the original Neptunia. So when I am thinking about going back and playing some old Neptunia games, that is one game that I would love to go back and play sometime on the PS3, is because, like I said, I did enjoy the game and I thought it was pretty fun. It is a game I would not mind revisiting again. Now, after saying what I said about Borderlands, I'm sure a lot of people watching this video are not going to be surprised that I'm going to say this in this video, and that is, I don't think Dead Island is a fun game at all. I've only played the original Dead Island, and me personally, I don't really care enough to play the other Dead Island games. I feel like Dead Island is essentially just Borderlands, except without projectiles, and you're on a tropical island with zombies. I don't think Dead Island is fun at all. I think it's very mediocre. It gets boring fast. It feels like a job. I've tried it. I can't enjoy it. It's just one of those things where the majority of the gaming community loves it, but I don't know. I feel like watching paint dry is a much more enjoyable activity than playing Dead Island, and I'm saying this as someone who's personally painted all my custom shelving in my personal game room, so I really mean it when I say it. I truthfully think watching paint dry is more enjoyable than playing Dead Island. Unfortunately, Dead Island is just simply not my thing. Of course, I have to talk about this hot take right here, and that is, I think Ape Escape Pumped and Primed on the PlayStation 2 is a fun game. While I can't see why people don't like the game itself, me personally, I did enjoy Pumped and Primed. No, it is not a perfect game, but I don't think it's a bad game either. I personally enjoyed playing through Pumped and Primed. I did enjoy some of the mini games. I wasn't really a fan of the boating sections of Pumped and Primed simply because that the controls were just not good at all when you would be boating in the game. I do have to say, overall, I did find Pumped and Primed to be enjoyable. I do think the original Ape Escape and Ape Escape 3 and Ape Escape 2 are far superior games than compared to Pumped and Primed, but I don't think Pumped and Primed is a bad game at all. I do have to say, for what it is, I did enjoy it, and if I were to go back and replay some of the Ape Escape games, I wouldn't mind going back and playing Pumped and Primed. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad game at all. Now, one Xbox 360 game that I played back in the day when I was an achievement hunter, simply because this game was just very easy to get a 1,000 gamer score, and that is Prey, which came out in 2006. Prey is just a very boring game, very mediocre. I would be willing to argue that Prey is one of the least enjoyable games that's on my list of games that I just simply don't enjoy. Prey, I feel, was a game that didn't offer any real challenge. Every time you would die, you would go into like this mini game of where you would be shooting like these red and blue pterodactyl looking creatures for you to be revived, and all the levels just essentially looked the same, and it was just not enjoyable at all. When I found out that the game got a lot of good reviews and people enjoyed it, I was shocked. This game was just atrocious for me to play. I think it is just a very mediocre game. There's no challenge to it. It's not fun. I don't think that the story was entertaining at all. I just think that Prey was just a dumpster fire of a game, me personally. Now, of course, I have to talk about Need for Speed: The Run. This is a game that I did enjoy back when it came out. I thought the story was not necessarily perfect. I did think that the story was at least somewhat enjoyable. I thought it was really cool, starting from San Francisco in the game and then finishing the game in New York City, of how you would travel across the US. I thought the game was really enjoyable. And the one thing that I feel about the Need for Speed series series is that no Need for Speed game plays alike. I feel like it's one of those series that you gotta look at every entry separately because they're just too different from each other. After all, Most Wanted 2005 is not going to play like Need for Speed Rivals, just like Need for Speed 2015 is not going to play like Need for Speed The Run. Sure, there's the concept of you running from the police and all that wonderful stuff, but I do have to say, when I played Need for Speed The Run back in 2011, I did find the game to be relatively enjoyable. I enjoyed playing its campaign. I enjoyed playing its online multiplayer. I thought it was a pretty enjoyable game. I really did enjoy The Run back in the day. Alrighty, and that'll conclude my video for some of my biggest hot takes when it comes to video games. What do you guys think? What are some of your guys' hot takes when it comes to video games? Feel free to comment in the comment section down below. I would love to hear some of your guys' hot takes. After all, we're human, we have our own opinions, and it's always interesting to see things from a different perspective, me personally. Of course, please do consider giving this video a like if you did enjoy. It helps boost it up into the YouTube algorithm so more viewers such as you can view videos just like this. Of course, please do consider subscribing because I post a ton of content when it comes to game collecting tips, and other video game related subjects. So if that is something that interests you guys, please do consider subscribing. But if you're going to subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell notification button so that way you will be notified when I upload a video just like this. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.